Yeah, I'm ready to go. Hello, welcome to the first cabinet meeting of the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. 2025 is going to be a big year. I feel it in my bones. So let's get cracking. Any item, agenda item 1, apologies. Everyone's here. Councillor Dan is online. Item 2, any declarations of interest? Colleagues, any declarations?
Yes, I've got a few, leader. Just bear with me, please. So item 6, the capital programme, Pill Mill and the Repair Street play area. Obviously, I'm the ward member and I sit on the board of Pill Mill. That's under the detailed budget breakdown, the 5-year plan, and school funding, Pill Primary School. I'm the school governor there, and under the works programme, Pill PSPO, and of course the ward member.
That's as a specific proposal which affects the school which you are government.
Just to note, a few of us are governors. I just sought clarity on whether we. So I'm told we're okay. All right. If you spot an item during the course of our cabinet meeting, you think actually we should declare, please do it there and then. So we are all aware. Okay, moving to agenda item 3 minutes from the previous cabinet meeting in December. Colleagues, any issues? Thank you, Councillor Davis. Anyone second? Councillor Clark. Okay. Great. Moving to agenda item 4, the budget and the medium-term financial plan. Obviously, the biggest, arguably, item the cabinet will see in the year. This report highlights the key issues affecting the development of the council's 25-26 budget. The medium-term financial plan presents the draft budget proposals, including the second tranche of budget savings. The latter we did autumn of, I think, October of 2024. So there's further savings of just over £500,000 contained in this report as well. The budget preparations this year have continued to be challenging, building on the unprecedented circumstances of the last few years. Our council, like others, are dealing with significant budget pressures. Our draft local government settlement was announced on the 11th of December, confirmed that Newport City Council will see the largest percentage increase in core funding across Wales, significantly higher than planning assumptions back in February of 2024. The 25-26 budget gap before savings is £4.3 million, 21.4 million over the medium term. We are required to manage this shortfall to both produce balanced annual budgets, which also deliver sustainable future finances that ensure that council continues to deliver services to residents in Newport and meets its priorities. Residents and service users, scrutiny committee, school forum, and other stakeholders will have opportunities to provide feedback for our consideration before we recommend our final budget proposals to full council in February of this year. Report along with appendices sets out the draft budget proposal, including pressures and investments, budget savings, and the draft increase in local council tax. The medium-term financial plan, as at February 2024, identified a potential budget cap before savings of around £21 million for the upcoming financial year. This report provides an update to reflect the ongoing work undertaken on the council's budget, MTFP, and saving proposals to balance the budget gap, which currently stands at £4.3 million. Table 1 within the report explains why this has improved so much and confirms that whilst cost pressures have increased significantly since then, this comes from a significant increase in funding levels coming from the Welsh Revenue Support Grant in the main. The provisional local government settlement was received on 11th December, as I said. This was a cash increase of £25.3 million from Newport City Council. After allowing for various adjustments, this provides the council additional funding of £20.5 million for 25-26 on a like-for-like basis. In addition to this, which funds around 75% of our budget funding requirement, we're also consulting on a draft increase for council tax at 6.7%, which will provide a further £5.3 million. It's worth bearing in mind that council tax, if it was to be held at 6.7%, for a Band D property, that's £1.93 a week, or £100.33 over a year. Over half our properties are actually Band A to C though, And then band C, that's £1.72 a week or £89.18 a year. As I've said, cost pressures to include in the budget have risen significantly from even 12 months ago. The main elements of this are unavoidable pay and other inflationary cost increases, including schools. These are estimated to be 25.3 million in 25-26 and 54.8 million over the 3-year period of 27 to 28. Demand increases on our services. The council is experiencing exceptional levels of demand and cost pressure in some areas, most significant in children's services and housing services. For 25-26 specifically, the council is currently planning to invest nearly £13 million in the draft budget, over and above an allowance for pay and price inflation. More details on proposed investments are included in Appendix 2, and some of the key items are noted in the report. But I'll pick out two: investing in extra street cleaning, a hit squad, I think we call it, and extra grass cutting across the council. This proves we are a listening council, as many of us heard from residents over the previous year about their desires to see extra street cleaning across the city and extra grass cutting in a more timely manner. We are responding to that demand. Our draft budget does not include any savings targets against the school budgets. These are currently shown to be increasing by just over £11 million and an 8% increase. Just to let you know, £11 million into our schools in cash terms next year, 8% increase. These cover the usual pay and other cost increases on funding to accommodate and retain current funding levels to an increasing school population and investment in additional learning needs. At that point, I would like to say part of the demand pressures and part of the reason why we had such a good settlement, and I think this is a really important point for the residents, regardless of your political view, is the unprecedented demographical pressure on Newport. We are growing at just over 9%. Our under 16s are growing over 10%. And our other growth areas over 65s, which I think is close to double digits, if not double digits, from memory. Of course, then, our schools and our social services take the strain as we experience those huge surges in our demographics. The Welsh Government formula recognises that our population has grown nearly double digits over a 10-year period. So it's a census figures. So we are, although we are very welcome and very grateful for the revenues from Welsh Government, it's responding actually to a real need across this city. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, we have new budget savings of just over £500,000, including within this report, and build on those savings we announced in November, which was 4.1 million. We've been able to focus primarily on efficiency type savings this year, given the increase in funding levels. As I said, if we didn't receive that funding from the Welsh Government, the savings we would have had to find would have been astronomical. And we've been able to not do things which I'm really pleased to say which I'll be saying in the coming months, that what we've really been able to protect as well. As I said earlier, this is the agenda item. This is a consultation. This kicks off the consultation to the public. It will run from the 5th of February. It will begin now to the 5th of February, and then we will come up with final proposals for consideration by this council. As always, and I've said it to many members and many residents who have already contacted me, we urge them to get involved, to participate, to say their views, to have their voice heard. That is the point of the consultation. We do listen. We do want to know what people think. I hope you all engage in this consultation right up to the 5th of February. Colleagues, any comments for us to make at this point? Councillor Williams.
Thank you very much. We promised our schools that there'd be no cuts to their funding, and we recognise the financial difficulties that they face daily. Building maintenance is costly, with support and care for our children always being a priority. Funding pressures we all recognise are those that relate to the increasing numbers of children who are presenting with additional learning needs. We're committed to ensuring every child has the best opportunities in life to achieve their aspirations and ambitions. It's recognised that the current financial pressures amount to £11.1 million, and we intend to meet that cost and remove the financial headache that our schools currently face. In order to achieve this and to ensure that we continue to sustain and improve education and enable our children to thrive, we need to make difficult decisions. Legally, we have to set a balanced budget, and this includes the use of the RSG, other grants, and of course, council tax. And yes, we are proposing an increase of 6.7%. But if we want to sustain and deliver on our commitment to improve services, this means making difficult decisions. We want residents to feel proud that they live in Newport, which is not just about excellent education opportunities, but about living in an environment where they feel safe and their surroundings are well maintained. Realistically, this comes at a cost, and a council tax increase will help us to achieve this ambition.
Thank you, Councillor Briggs. Councillor Stallcourt.
Thanks, Leader. I'm just, the investment in schools is brilliant. Like you said, with a fast-growing city, lots of young people with lots of opportunities in, jobs of the future and a booming creative industry sector. But I will say that it's important that people do take part in the budget, which will go live tonight in the consultation. Commenting on Facebook, commenting in the Argus comment section is great, wonderful, but that doesn't actually get wrapped into the overall feedback that we look to at holistically to hear the views of people. So, and we, all of us as members, whichever colour flag we wave, have a responsibility to ensure that people know that they can have their voices heard and to direct them to the budget consultation. And as I said, that opens tonight. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Good point. Councillor Lacey.
Thanks, Leader. So whilst I'm obviously happy with the additional funding into street cleaning and grass cutting, I'm absolutely delighted with the investment of almost 2 million into our social services, children's services, to establish in-house provision for children, which is so important for our children looked after by the local authority. So not only does it reduce further the burden in further years of the expensive out-of-county placement, but it brings our most vulnerable children back into the city to be looked after in-house, regulated with some of the best social workers and in-house residential workers that we have. So absolutely fantastic to see that 2 million, which a lot of people wouldn't see in the general budget cycle. But also, as Councillor Courtin mentioned, our ward meetings are starting as well, which is also where you can come along and have your say. We had quite a lively one last year, didn't we? So yes. Ward meetings are there where you can bring up your comments and things there, and like I said, get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. Any other colleague? Great. A good point, Councillor Lacey. It was remiss of me. There's a critical investment in infrastructure actually for our children going forward. Any proposal then? Brilliant. Thank you, colleagues. Moving to agenda item 5, November revenue budget monitor. This report explains the current forecast on the position on the council's revenue budget and the financial risks and opportunities present themselves within a November update. This is the third revenue report that has been presented to Cabinet this financial year against a net budget of £400 million. The November forecast reflects underspend of almost 4.6 million. This takes into account the contingency budget and the anticipated in-year underspend against capital financing projects. The improvement system in September is largely due to additional Welsh Government grant funding, of which we are very welcome and very grateful for. Whilst the overall position is positive, it should be noted that surface areas are collectively forecast to overspend by almost £6.2 million, excluding schools. This update provides confirmation that some of the known risks at the start of the year materialise and are causing significant overspends, especially in housing. As anticipated, it's currently proving possible to offset service area overspends with the general contingency budget and other non-service underspends, including the capital financing costs. The key areas contributing to our 4.6 million forecast underspend position includes significant pressure on housing and community services in relation to homelessness. This area alone is contributing to an overspend of £3.1 billion. This pressure was anticipated as the service implements its transformation plan. However, demand increases in the current year mean the position has deteriorated further. The transformation plan in the service is expected to begin to take effect by the end of the year, though ongoing demand increases is a risk. 2, increased demand with adults non-residential and supported living services, contributing a further 3.1 million to the overall service position. However, these pressures are partly offset by an underspend of 2.9 million within adults residential services due to reduced demand and the overachievement of income. That's our ongoing theme this financial year. 3, increased demand with our children's social care, specifically out of area and emergency placements, is contributing a 2.6 million overspend. 4, increase in demand for ALN and special school transport, and an additional 10 academic days is contributing a further 1.1 billion overspend to the overall service position. 5, there are forecasting spent against non-service budgets, specifically the general contingency and capital financing areas. Savings in these areas are set out within the report, more than offsetting the net service area overspends. 6, in addition to the budget mitigation in our base budget within the non-service budgets, trying to say that with not full of anything, the Welsh Government additional funding of 2.9 million has also been received, and this contributes positively to the current forecast position. 8, there is anticipated shortfall against the delivery of 24-25 and prior year savings of 1.8 million. The 2 services responsible for the majority of the shortfall are children's services and housing. You see the theme. Within housing and communities, it has not been possible to evidence achievement of savings related to the reduction of temporary accommodation costs, especially given the overall spend in this area. However, the service does expect these and other initiatives to begin to reduce the budget pressure by the end of the year. Within children's services, expenditure has not reduced in line with the original proposal, given ongoing pressures on that service. However, it has been possible to use grant funding as temporary mitigation, and we are reviewing the deliverability of that saving in the current context. The school position. Our school variances are managed by individual school balances. The overall current spend does not reflect the school position. Schools are collectively forecasting an overspend against a budget of 3.8 million, which would see balances reduced from 12.5 to 8.7 by the end of the financial year. This position is inclusive of a one-off investment of 600k agreed by Cabinet September 24 to assist our secondary schools with their cost of examination fees as well as other items of cost. Considering the level of recurring expenditure included within the 3.8 million overspend, there is a risk of further schools entering a deficit position in future years. Robust margin will be required for the remainder of the year to ensure that schools plan for this risk and take the necessary steps to avoid this or minimise the impact. Cabinet are asked to allocate the following amounts from the prior year's underspend. So this is more positive. 50k to fund one-off costs associated with a pilot project in conjunction with the Welsh Government to identify and help our residents apply for and receive financial support which is available to them, which has not been currently claimed. That is partly our answer to the pensioners' motion presented by the Leader of the Opposition and collectively amended and passed by the council end of last year. I think it was the autumn of last year. This system is used by Newport Talbot to identify those pensioners, but others who should be in receipt of pension credit but do not receive pension credit. This is a necessary investment to help us target and identify those pensioners so we can support them to claim the pension credit they rightly are eligible for, and then walk them through how to apply. This will then help them access other benefits which they're entitled to, will help them with their cost of living. So this is part of our answer to start helping our pensioners meet some of the financial challenges they are seeing with decisions made elsewhere. Also, we're investing collectively 600k, which is augmented by 130k from us over and above funding received from Welsh Government to pump into our primary schools, which matches what we did with our secondary schools last year. So what we gave to secondary schools, we're now giving to primary schools. So that's 1.2 million injected into our schools in cash terms this financial year, because we recognise they are the front line of seeing our social pressures, the children that are struggling, and seeing all those additional learning needs children who need the support, as well as meeting the challenges and the cost savings they've been faced with for the last 10-15 years due to austerity. We are trying to restart readdressing that financial imbalance, and we are showing our commitment both with the 1.2 million collective and 600k for primary schools today, as well as the 11 million pounds in cash terms for next financial year. So some more positive news. Colleagues, any comments on that report? Councillor Joy.
Really positive news on helping primary schools and giving additional funding to primary schools, and also the 500k to look into the and help pensioners to avoid the winter fuel allowance, and I think that that's really positive.
Thank you, Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I truly welcome the decision to give a further £600,000 to National Primary Schools, which matches the previous £600,000 we were able to give to our secondary schools back in the summer. This hope resolve the financial difficulties our schools are facing, but it goes a long way towards that. Part of the leaders of my ambition for this spring is actually to visit every primary school and sit down with them and work through them exactly what those pressures are. And a lot of them, you look at, I usually have a backlog of maintenance issues and problems that they need to resolve. 600k won't resolve it, but that 11.1 million pounds that we're actually additionally going to give to our schools will certainly help to relieve that pressure. And I'm really proud that we've made that commitment to support our schools. In truth, financial pressures on school budgets is something that every councillor in Newport recognises. I think fairly unique to Newport, every councillor has a responsibility to become a school governor and sit on at least 2 different school bodies. Not every local authority in Wales or indeed in England have this expectation of their councillors, but consequently it means that every councillor in Newport understands where and how schools spend their budgets, and they know what those pressures are. So not only do schools get the financial support and help that they need from our amazing finance teams, but there is that additional level of scrutiny, I beg your pardon. Scrutiny and careful management will continue in spite of that additional funding, because it's got to be carefully considered how that money will be spent going forward. It's a necessity that scrutiny and management continues, but all my colleagues will welcome the proposals that we put forward today.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Leader. Firstly, there is a lot to take in. There is a lot to take in, and I think you've explained it really clear. But I would hope residents would look into the paperwork and look at the detail of it. But I think what you can from that 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of summing up there, Leader, is that we're looking after the children and we're looking after the pensioners. We're not leaving anyone behind. And I think that's really, really important, that this council, tough decisions have to be made, and we'll find out from the consultation which direction we're going to go in. But for us, what we're doing now, we're trying to cover everyone, from the primary school children through to the pensioners, and I believe the response and the outcomes of the 50,000 investment elsewhere in other councils have been really positive. So I hope the residents will see that. I hope they understand what we're doing here. We're not just looking at one area of the community, we're looking at the whole community of all ranges and ages.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Any other colleagues? Councillor Lees.
I think that just quickly to pleased with the additional money into schools, because you quite rightly said that there's increasing demand on ALN and divergent pressures at the moment. And what we're seeing our children that were born in COVID now starting school, and we're seeing them coming into school with trauma and multiple other issues. And it's really difficult when the school's budgets are really tight already. The first thing that you have to drop are those non-statutory areas, and that tends to be the additional learning needs or the additional support. So it's really good to get that money in where our littlest ones can get picked up quicker. So they don't hit, like I said, social services and the more critical areas further down the line. So it's just really nice to see that money to go where it's really needed, because our teachers are seeing maybe the first instance with these children coming in that potentially are ALN or not, and they're the ones that will say, and if they don't have that space to be able to tell you, it'll go further down the line, and some of these children end up then not being able to go to school at all. So it's really good to see that.
Any other colleague want to? Okay, any proposal for the report? Councillor Davis, second. Okay, agenda item 6, the capital programme margin additions. The next capital programme for November 2024 update. There's again, like our revenue third monitoring report of the year, provides us an overview of the updated capital programme alongside the projected outturn position as at November of the 2025 financial year. As part of this, we'll provide an update on the level of available capital headroom, and also details the additions to the programme that have been identified and seeks our approval for these additions. Okay, getting into the details. The first section outlines the movement in the capital budget since the last report was presented to Cabinet in November, which was the September 24-25 monitoring additions report. The net value of additions and amendments to the current capital programme since then is £4 million, and a breakdown of these additions is given in Appendix A. We are required to approve these additions and amendments. As a result of these additions, as of November 24, the current budget for 24-25 is now £91.6 million, which is substantial and we challenge and deliver in full. As part of the recommendations to this report, we are asked to approve the slippage that has been identified following the reprofiling exercise. However, the following same approach as last year, any further slippage that is identified throughout the year will be only subject to our approval as part of the final outturn report once the final position is known. The report also details the level of capital headroom currently available, which can be used to support new schemes and emerging priorities. This now stands at £12.7 million, following a small capital receipt received since the last report to Cabinet. Whilst the level of headroom may currently appear reasonable, there remains a need to tightly control its use so that the Council is able to respond to critical issues as and when they emerge. This will require clear prioritisation of only the most pressing and urgent issues. In addition, any opportunity to further increase the headroom will need to be taken so it's possible to support as many priorities as possible, ensure that sufficient funding exists to respond to any issues that do arise. And issues, I can assure you, only taking this process over 8 or 9 months, they arise. On our prudential indicators, the report confirms the Council has complied with its prudential indicators, with the exception of 2 indicators. These are the indicators designed to show the proportion of financing costs in net revenue stream. This is due to the increase in financing costs, which has arisen from a change in accounting for leases and does not represent an additional cost to the authority. The second, and the interest rate risk indicator. This indicator measures the potential impact of changes in interest rates on the revenue budget if maturing loans require refinancing. It is an estimation, not a limit, of what was also be required to cover a change in interest rates. Therefore, this should be viewed as a soft target rather than a hard limit. We are asked to approve the additions and amendments detailed in the report, totaling over £4 million. We are asked to note the level of capital headroom currently available and approve the use of headroom as noted in the report. And we are required to note the authority's compliance with the prudential indicators which are included within the report. Colleagues, any comments on the capital report, Councillor Davies?
I'm taking advantage of the fact that the capital addition report actually mentions 2 running primary schools. And the leader and I were really fortunate before Christmas to be given the opportunity to visit both new primary schools in Pilbentley and St Andrews. Both, I know leader would agree, are beautiful buildings. It's great to see them open, filled with children who are now benefiting from the new learning opportunities that are now available. Each school has new play areas, sensory rooms and amazing learning spaces that governing bodies, children, staff and head teachers have helped to design. These are both schools that are more deprived areas in Newport, and this can only help to improve learning outcomes. The consequent exciting next steps are now already being developed, and that is school like Wedley will move into the Old Hill site, meaning that very shortly we will be opening our first Welsh medium LRB, very much needed and wanted. And from there we'll see the expansion in Skelton and Durham with a proposal creating 42 new places for those children with new neurodivergent diagnosis. Again, points that quite likely Councillor Lacey raised. This is fulfilling a recognised need and helping to reduce pressure on our mainstream schools. Really positive steps forward and really well worth celebrating. And I know I'm cheeky, but it's one of those at this point. It really is.
That's good points to raise. Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other colleague want to raise any items of this report? Okay,
If I could just come in on that, please, Leader. Yeah, I just want to echo Councillor Davis's comments, and particularly with Pill Primary School, which I sit on as a governor. And it's capital investments such as that give children a head start in life, and it plugs the gap when it comes to equality, and it enables them to reach their full potential. So I was really pleased to visit the school myself, and yeah, I just wanted to say well done to everyone. Just want to thank as well, of course, the head of education as well, Sarah, who's played a key role in that as well. Thank you.
Good point, Councillor Dan and David. It's worth knowing is that those two primary schools are two of the biggest primary schools in
Yes,
pupil numbers.
yes, they are. We've got 4 schools which are our biggest. But St Andrews is the biggest, followed by St Julian's and Danhurst, and then Hill. But they're all big primary schools that are taking a good proportion of our children from across the city.
Absolutely, and it's sort of big primary schools, but it also alludes to the point I was making at the budget report around demographical pressures and the surge. It's great news for the city, and I strongly believe in terms of our economic output as the years go on, but in the short term, the infrastructure pressure on us has to be met.
Yeah.
Have a proposer and seconder. Councillor Davis.
Happy to second.
Okay, we'll move to agenda item 7 for a non-controversial paper on Councillor.
This report is to advise the Cabinet on the results of the public consultation regarding 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in the city. Seek approval to commence the process of increasing the speed limit to 30 miles per hour on the roads identified in the report. The report sets out the background to the introduction of the 20 miles an hour default speed limit across the city and the decision by Welsh Government to undertake a listening phase. That was following a national petition calling for the revocation of the 20 miles an hour speed limit. Allied to the listening phase, Welsh Government produced updated guidance and criteria for where 20 mile an hour limits would be appropriate, including such factors as residential density, pedestrian and cyclist activity, and locations of facilities such as schools. Newport's listening phase identified 335 roads that the public wanted returned to 30 miles per hour within the city. In the consultation, there were obviously representations for and against of each of the roads. These roads were then assessed against the Welsh Government's criteria, with the outcome that 16 roads or sections of road were identified as meeting the nationally applied criteria, deeming them suitable for a 30 miles an hour speed limit. Appendix 1 of the report sets out the assessment method for each of the 335 roads against the national criteria. A decision to proceed today will enable the notice of proposals to be published as the first stage of the traffic order process to bring these 16 roads to a 30 miles an hour posted speed limit. As a statutory consultation, these proposals may then attract comments in support or objection from the public. The reporting and resolution of these comments are also considered within the report. You can see we've included a lot of detailed information in the report. That's because we want to be transparent about the process, the reasons why some roads must remain at 20 miles an hour and some return to 30. We are aware of the strength of feeling regarding the speed on some of these roads, but as you'll see from the information provided, as a council, we were obliged to assess these roads through the filter of Welsh Government guidance and take our decisions stemming from this. Please can I recommend the report?
Thank you, Councillor Howells. Colleagues, any comments? Councillor Lacey.
Thank you, Councillor Howells. And as the previous infrastructure cabinet member, it has to be said that Welsh guidance is strict and we have to adhere to it, and this is difficult. I understand that people want roads that they travel to work on to go back up to 30, but actually if they live on that road, they'd rather it stayed at 20. So, what we have to, as Councillor Howells has said, and numerous times there, we have to follow Welsh Government criteria, and that criteria simply laid out is that 30 mile an hour road would not be appropriate if it's within 100 metres of educational settings, within 100 metres of a community facility, within 100 metres of a medical facility, or where a number of residential and retail premises immediately front the roads. And that, you know, when you actually drive along these roads, then you understand how our hands are tied by Welsh Government, and we can only go with the roads that we have then. So really want to thank all the work of Councillor Howard and the officers, because I know this has been a difficult task. I think we had the most responses, I believe,
by a long
so, you know, that work's gone in, the analysis has gone through, and I know the question was asked there, do you live on this road, do you travel on this road? And I'd be really interested to get that breakdown, but I said, you know, hands tied to a certain point, but it's good to see that it's 16 that we've got going back, so listen, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. Any other colleague wish to comment? I would like to say big thank you to Councillor Howells and the team. I don't mind saying this, they were given the hospital pass. It wasn't council policy, then it was devolved to councils conveniently, then to sort out with a strict set of guidelines. We weren't even given a free hand to decide for ourselves. Now, whatever you think of the policy, we were put into that position, and we've had to respond to that position in a cool, calm, logical manner. Looked at every road, looked at every criteria, and I'm so confident of that we've released all of it online for you to, any resident or any person to have a look at. And I'm not surprised we had such a big engagement, because we're always a listening council and we're always encouraging people to speak. But also, I think when I last looked at the statistics, we are the second biggest commuter area in all of Wales. So our roads are heavily used. If you just go on our roads, we all know. So I'm not surprised with heavy engagement on this subject. It invokes a lot of passion either way, actually, because as you say, I've had residents in my ward, if they live on that road, they will tell you they want people to drive too fast and they want people to slow down. Councillor,
yeah, just to finish following from what you're saying, what Councillor Lacey said as well, you know, it was a big job. There were a lot of people that made representations, and you know, I know that officers were really keen as well to make sure it was done as objectively and fairly as possible. And you're right to say a lot of time and effort has gone into it, you know, so I think it's just important to reflect that.
thank you. Colleagues, any other questions or points they wish to raise at this point? No? Okay, can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Councillor Druitt.
I'll do that.
Agenda item 8. This is a report on our major assessment report of service areas progress against the service plans for 24-25. The service plans support delivery of the council's corporate plan from 2022 to 2027. It's 4 wellbeing objectives. This report provides a summary of the progress which service areas have made in the first 6 months of 24-25, from the 1st of April to the 30th of September 24. Overall, the assessment shows service areas are making good progress in delivery of their objectives, with only 8 of 42 objectives reporting an amber progress. Of the 122 performance measures reported, 48% were green, 9% amber, 15% were red, and 28% of them were measures for information. As well as highlighting positive examples noted in service plans, the report acknowledges the challenges and risks in key areas of customer services, housing and homelessness, additional learning needs, and social care. All of these are high priority areas for the Cabinet to support and improve the services offered to residents. Cabinet is asked to consider the contents of the report and to continue to monitor service area performance in 24-25. There are so many services across this council that are highlighted here. Do Cabinet members want to talk about any of their particular council areas?
Sorry. I mind my saying sorry. It's such a great opportunity to celebrate what's gone well in education so far this year, and I could go on for hours. However, my focus is on our recent ESTA inspections, which validates what we already know, that we have excellent education provision and opportunities in Newport. Notably, the work we've undertaken on immersive Welsh led to an excellent ESTA outcome, and we've recently published a film that's now on our website explaining our offer for children who want to transfer into Welsh medium education halfway into their school career, please, I really implore you to go look on our website and look at that film. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's a fantastic offer that we've got for children, so that they can immerse themselves in Welsh and actually then go to Welsh People School if that's what they so wish. Proudly, though, we saw just before Christmas the publication, the ESTA inspection of both education and our youth services, both reports that really spell out how well we're doing in Newport. Our education report focused on outstanding leadership with Sarah Morgan as our head of education. She is, I think we would all agree, Claire, is truly amazing. She's calm, she's knowledgeable, and she's forensic in her approach. Alongside this was a recognition and focus we have on delivering excellent learning opportunities in our schools. Our youth service were equally praised with recognition of innovative practice, support, and inclusivity across the city. Again, a team led by inspirational and incredibly hardworking team manager, who's Beth Allen, who really deserves recognition for her work, especially the work she's undertaken over the last 2 years. She's absolutely brilliant as well. And I don't think we always recognise as individuals who've worked so hard to make a difference. We wouldn't have the services we have without these individuals, and they really deserve our praise.
Absolutely, never apologise for promoting the excellence we have in this council. Councillor Davis. Any other cabinet member want to talk about any of their areas? Councillor Lacey.
Thank you. Just to say, you know, again, adult services and both children and adult services, we've read the pressures and the performances as such, but notable to say that adult services, we actually opened a new home, a smaller home, T Clare, based in Cullean, which was brilliant for some of our supported living, but also we're in the process. We've opened up 2 homes this year, children's homes, and we've got another one coming online for our disabled children. So again, that work that goes in, and we had the pleasure of visiting our latest home just before Christmas, actually, which is hoping for unaccompanied silent children, and the thought and the care behind how they've designed that home and how it looks. And when you walk in there, it actually looks like a home, your home, open plan kitchen. You know, these are not institutions anymore. Our homes are amazing to look. You walk into them and you see them, and there's a warm feeling about there. And you know, so like I said, I keep saying our most vulnerable, but they're being looked after in a home that you'd be happy to look after your own children in. And that one, but also, as you know, leader, one of my championing at the moment is the assisted technology hub that's opening for adult services. And again, this is going to be another one where the capital outlay could end up saving us a lot of money, but also gives that liberty of that person back, who, rather than having some a domiciliary course 3 or 4 times a day, can have some assisted technology in there and actually start to almost feel like they're looking after themselves again, which they are. And that's open to September last year. So championing that, pushing that forward. So some really good work and innovative work going on in both areas, children's and adult services.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. Can I just say at this point what an incredible cabinet member Councillor Lacey has been on social services, covering this new brief. It's a big portfolio to many of our most needy people across the residents. Councillor Lacey has handled it incredibly well and shown some excellence in many areas of that brief. And I couldn't trust anyone more to deliver that technology assisted piece, drive that innovation forward. Colleagues, anyone else? Councillor Clark, of course.
I was going to say just briefly. You know, I'd like to sort of first of all thank the team, the Democratic Services team, and Mike, who's now heading the team there, and how positive they've been, and how we're moving everything forward with the legal team, but also the regeneration team. I think that's really, really key, because in the last 6 or 7 months, sort of our relationships with businesses within Newport city centre, but also the surrounding area of Newport has been stronger. Myself and the leader have been on numerous visits and developed and strengthened the relationships with those companies. But also, I think it's important our relationship, a strong relationship with BID. I think that's hugely important, and also the communities and the businesses who also benefit from the shared prosperity fund. Sort of there's 80, 90, 100 businesses this year who community have benefited it, and it's helped with the food festival and Winter Wonderland, and it's always been there in the background. And what's really important with the relationship with the with regeneration team is we're pushing each other on it. We're always pushing each other. I know this week we've got a 3-hour meeting to make sure every penny of that shared prosperity fund has been spent, so it doesn't go back anywhere, because it's our money. We want to make sure we spend it, but also if any businesses are listening, because the amount of emails from communities and businesses I'm getting about the next round of shared prosperity fund starting on April the 1st, we'll be looking at that as well. So we go into the year really running and making sure we do the best for the businesses and communities who are looking at funding there, and make sure it's the best outcome of taxpayers' money, but the best outcome for the residents and people as well.
Absolutely, Councillor Clark. Shall I stop referring to you as the SPF Santa Claus? I know your diligence on making sure every pound is spent wisely and benefits the city and those residents is to be commended. I've seen you go in detail, go through those reports line by line, which was much needed to make sure every penny has the biggest impact in the city. Thank you for all your hard work. Councillor Stalford and the Chief Executive.
It's just overlapping with what James said, really. It's noted in the report about successful events like the Christmas lights switch on, the Winter Wonderland, Food Festival, and the officers that pull that together. It's a really small team with 3 events officers in the council. They pull off these amazing events, and we know that putting these events into the city centre is really important to attract footfall and to bring more people in. And I'm really excited about the year ahead. This, March is going to be a wonderful month of our first Festival of Words, our music trail with Focus Wales, which is going to be amazing. I've seen proposals for this year's Food Festival today. There's so much exciting stuff coming again this year. So, yeah, watch this space.
Just really to maybe sort of top and tail that from an officer perspective. You can't look at this agenda today without looking at the direct correlation between item 4, item 5 and item 8, and to some extent item 6. And it's no surprises that the challenges and the risks highlighted in the assessment report also relate to our key budget challenges. At the end of the day, as an authority, we provide services for people, and people are not a science. It's not something you can work through as an equation. So however prudent, however calculated we are in terms of setting the budget every year, we will always, as the leader said, have to meet challenges head on. And I think, when you look at some successes in the mid-year assessment report, I think it's, I have to share my thanks also with the corporate management team and senior management network. Every year we build a budget. It's always a challenging process, but we build up the best of our ability, and they continue to deliver. For a small-sized authority in terms of staffing, the successes are huge. And unless you're in the business of local government, whether it's as a member or as an officer, sometimes you may see an overspend or an underspend, particularly what's on the agenda today, and then budget has just come before it. It's absolutely critical. We've had, as you've outlined at item 5, leader, we've had late government grant coming through, also with the contingency which we build in. So, it's to get us to this stage towards the end of the financial year, I think it's a testament of the hard work that goes on across the authority by everyone.
Well, sir. Councillor Dan.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, it's just to comment on the housing pressures, particularly homelessness. Of course, it's just over 3 million we're looking at in year. So we are changing our approach in terms of how we address those pressures, particularly looking at innovative schemes when it comes to temporary accommodation. We all know the pressures are with high street B&Bs and hotel use. And what we want to do is ensure that our residents live in a secure and stable properties. But at the same time, of course, to reduce those financial pressures in engaging with stakeholders such as RSLs, but also private partners, and expediting that transition through modular programs. And also, of course, we will be looking at encouraging both private landlords and our residents to invest through ways of the empty property. We all know there's an empty property scheme through the council tax premium, but also schemes, the Welsh Government schemes. So we've got the Help to Buy, we've got the Rent to Buy, Leasing Scheme Wales. So we are really driving that message out there and encouraging our residents to actually apply for those schemes as well. Just want to add on to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Colleagues who haven't spoken, anyone else want to say anything? Nope, okay, great. Can I have a poser and seconder? Okay, thank you. Agenda item 9, panel performance assessments. The local government elections Wales Act 2021 requires local authorities in Wales to undertake a panel performance assessment, otherwise known as the PPA, once per electoral term. The purpose of the panel performance assessment is for an independent panel to assess the council's arrangements in exercising its functions effectively, using its resources economically, efficiently and effectively, and has effective governance arrangements in place during the previous 2 points. The Welsh Local Government Association have been appointed to support in the preparation and delivery of that assessment. Assessment has been scheduled to take place in March 2026. The council will commence preparations for the assessment in 2025. Further updates will be provided throughout the year. To support this, there's a national resident survey in collaboration with Data Cymru. I might have to go to that point. I am the chair of Data Cymru. Is anyone prejudice me? Please say yes. I'll become you.
Data Cymru going to be put in place an organisation that you're involved with in a certain advantage.
Yeah, last one association.
I need to understand a bit more about the relationships with clients, but I think.
Okay. And the WHA will be completed in the summer of 2025. The results of the survey will be considered in addition to evidence of the council's engagement, complaints and consultation activity. The Cabinet is asked to consider the contents of the report and agree for the council to proceed with completing the panel performance assessment scheduled for March 2026. Can I propose one second? Councillor Davis, second. Last agenda. Second but last, sorry. Too excited. Agenda item 10, One Newport Summary of Business. There's a link to the One Newport Summary document, which is included for our information for people to peruse at their leisure. The document provides us with an update of what non-new policy has delivered so far, and I think we're starting to get a handle of all the groups working in the same direction. Just to give a heads up, whoever watches this, that's the council with collaborative partners that are important for the city, like housing associations working together and the police working together for the same goals that benefit all residents of the city. So you can read that ongoing work in the pack. Do I need to propose a second to this for information? Okay, thank you. And moving on to agenda item 11, work programme. I move the programme to the Cabinet accept.
Yes.
Great. I conclude this first meeting of the year. Thank you, everyone, and see you.